200 miles off the coast of Mexico lies one of the smallest islands on Earth. This is Roca Partida, which simply means broken rock, the only visible remnant of a fiery volcanic past. It doesn't look much from the surface, but beneath is one of the best-kept secrets in the natural world, an extreme wilderness ruled by huge schools of sharks. It's the only natural junction for miles in an otherwise empty Pacific Ocean. Steep mountainous walls are home to the greatest concentrations of marine life of any reef in the world's oceans. Is this the final name in the Great Shark Hall of Fame? Gatherings of hundreds and hundreds of silky sharks have come to symbolize the extreme and wild character of Roca Partida. Scalloped hammerheads, famous for massing around the islands of Galapagos and Cocos, are also here in huge numbers. But why so many sharks? And crucially, do these silkies, hammerheads, and Galapagos sharks move between the great marine parks in the eastern Pacific Ocean? Roca Partida is one of 4 islands in the area, known as the Revillagigedo Archipelago. The others are Clarion, San Benedicto, and the largest, Socorro. In recent years, they have come to be known as the Socorro Islands. Islands barely touched by man, and so allowed to evolve with their own separate identities. It's a place the Mexicans call their own little Galapagos, and only now are its underwater secrets being revealed. Just like the Galapagos Islands, the volcanic origins are evident above and below the surface. Each is characterized by a rocky undersea terrain, constantly bombarded by strong currents and powerful upwellings or surges. The clash of 2 great ocean currents, the cooling California current and the warmer North Equatorial current, is vital to the region. They collide west of Mexico, right at the junction of the Socorro Islands, generating a high-energy soup of living organisms, feeding a chain of life from top to bottom. This is a predator's paradise, where sharks thrive. These currents also influence the seasonal behavior of most of the shark and ray populations, whose numbers will continue to climb through the year. Unlike some of the other species, white-tip reef sharks live here all year round. They are the resident pack wolves of the reef, and their lifestyle adds a bizarre twist to the everyday life of Roca Partida. Whitetips do not have to keep on the move to breathe. Their ability to keep water moving through their gills while stationary means they can rest during the day, saving their energy for hunting at night. But along the steep rocky walls of Roca Partida, space is at a premium, and the whitetips are forced to seek out every nook and cranny to find a resting place. Many are piled high, some 3 deep. They've turned Roca Partida into the world's busiest underwater hotel, where guests have to take pot luck when it comes to reserving a space. As whitetips are not territorial, it's an arrangement that seems to suit all, even if some of the living quarters are limited on comfort. This peculiar situation is made all the more strange because the sharks are not alone. They share their hard-won corner of the rocks with giant lobsters, normally prey for whitetips. With space at a premium, the sharks are also forced into an uneasy alliance with another resident predator, green moray eels. They squeeze into the tightest of crevices, constantly jostling for position. To the outside world, the situation seems almost comical. Moray eels have been known to devour smaller whitetips. But on these overcrowded ledges, the truce seems to hold firm between the two rival predators. At Roca Partida, there's plenty of food for all. When they do patrol the reef walls, the whitetips move around in packs. In a few months' time, when the water temperatures rise by a few degrees, the males will be in vigorous pursuit of a mate. February sees the arrival of the biggest animal to visit the islands. Every year, humpback whales make the 16,000-mile journey from the cold Arctic seas to a number of safer havens in the blue waters of the tropical Pacific. Mexico's warm winter seas provide an important sanctuary, with as many as 1,200 whales visiting the Socorro Islands. For the next month or so, the whales will enjoy the protection of the calmer waters found in this small corner of the Pacific. Roca Partida is a tiny, narrow island, at just over 200 meters long and 35 meters high. Even so, this mother has chosen this extraordinary location as her favored winter home to introduce her newborn calf to the world. The start of a powerful bond that will last at least a year. For hours at a time, she remains almost motionless as her daughter suckles some of the richest milk of any mammal. In fact, she will drink at least 500 to 600 liters of high-fat milk every day, piling on the weight rapidly. Her mother may weigh as much as 50 tons, yet she demonstrates a tenderness with her calf that belies her enormous power. Like humans, she must also teach her young some of the basics of growing up. In this case, how to be a humpback whale, an air-breathing mammal. Even though this youngster is growing at around 25 kilograms a day, one of her first important lessons is how to control buoyancy. Mum can position herself in the water without effort, but her 1-ton baby can't seem to get the hang of it at first. Like any child, albeit a very big one, it's a case of, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. It's a bit like a human learning how to snorkel for the first time. In the end, there's only one solution. She eventually works out that she can use her mother as a kind of giant weight belt, nestling beneath her until needing to surface for air. Juvenile humpbacks need to do this every 3 or 4 minutes. For now, being a baby humpback whale in the deep blue waters of Socorro seems like an idyllic life. The lessons she's learnt here could make the difference between life and death when the time comes for her to make the long and dangerous journey to her new home in the rich feeding grounds of the frozen Arctic Circle. This is San Benedicto, the 3rd largest of the Socorro Islands. These are some of the only pictures ever recorded of the island's perfectly formed volcanic crater. When it last erupted in 1952, all plant and wildlife on the island was destroyed. The lava flow spilled out into the ocean, extending the shoreline of the island by hundreds of meters. Then, in 1993, the most recent eruption hit the island of Socorro itself, adding to the scars of the violent volcanic beginnings of these extraordinary remnants of the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's a story which began 3.5 million years ago, with the seismic shifting of tectonic plates which act like giant pieces of jigsaw that make up the Earth's seabed. Violent volcanic activity caused by the movement of ocean trenches led to the birth of islands all around the Pacific Ocean, known as the Ring of Fire. More than 450 volcanoes, around 2/3 of the world's active and dormant volcanoes, make up this continuous chain stretching about 40,000 kilometers. The visible parts of the islands are surrounded by waters which plunge to depths of over 3,000 meters. The Spanish first discovered the islands in 1533. But it wasn't until the 18th century that a British explorer revealed clues about the extreme and wild nature of local shark populations. Captain James Colnett was skipper of the merchant vessel, the Rattler. His mission was to scour the seas of the eastern Pacific, including the Galapagos Islands, in search of new whale hunting grounds. His ship's log from 1793 reported a prodigious quantity of fish, but we caught only a few as the sharks destroyed our hooks and lines, and no one on board but myself had ever before seen them so ravenous. "200 years on, and little has changed. The only difference is that today's visitors actually pay good money to witness such spectacles of shark behavior. 25 different types of sharks and rays patrol these jagged, mountainous seamounts. As well as being protected by Mexican law, the islands are also part of the Pacific Marine Biological Corridor because of the rich variety of wildlife above and below the surface, in much the same way as the legendary Galapagos and Cocos Islands, some 2,000 kilometers to the south. For more than a decade, the Mexican government and marine scientists have been gathering detailed evidence in the hope of gaining the ultimate international recognition, that of UNESCO World Heritage status. An important part of their work has been studying the movement of the sharks. They use acoustic monitoring devices which collect data from sharks which have been tagged every time they come into range. This is one of the dozens of sharks that have been tracked for a number of years. The movement of manta rays is also monitored using either acoustic or satellite tagging. It's now been proved that a number of the species, silvertips, Galapagos, silkies and hammerheads, travel locally between the 4 islands. What has surprised the scientists is how they travel. No matter what the sea conditions or currents, when migrating between the islands, the sharks swim in perfectly straight lines. More importantly, this behavior is exactly the same as the sharks which have been tracked traveling between the islands of Galapagos, Cocos, and Malpelo, and another local island called Clipperton. This is compelling evidence that the sharks are using so-called superhighways, routes used by hundreds and hundreds of sharks migrating great distances to seek out the best hunting grounds. Scientists are convinced that Socorro is a major junction connecting the sharks of these great volcanic islands. Towards the end of April, monster whale sharks arrive, some of the biggest ever seen. These giant sharks are here to take advantage of Socorro's rich waters with high concentrations of plankton. They visit for a few months at a time, not only to feed, but also to pup. They give birth to live sharks. So smaller whale sharks also start making an appearance, taking advantage of the plentiful food supply. They live long and docile lives, and sometimes reach 100 years of age. These gentle giants will return later in the year. But for now, as we head towards the summer months of May and June, things are hotting up. Thanks to the cooler, nutrient-rich California current, large schools of juvenile sardines and northern anchovies are forced into the danger zones around the islands. Apart from the sharks, sailfish also roam these waters. When large schools of small fish sense trouble, they form into bait balls, which can be massive. But this tactic will have fatal consequences. Once the word is out, the sailfish sprint in from the blue depths. Silky sharks are not far behind. As the fish start to sense danger, they swirl near the surface, gradually being picked off by the marauding predators. Another, much smaller bait ball of sardines is also about to come under attack. For the sailfish, supreme hunters of the vast open blue wilderness, this is a much easier target. When sailfish go in for the kill, they have a number of vital weapons to surprise their prey. The all-important sail for sharp maneuvering. Rapid color changes to signal to each other a coordinated offensive. Sailfish are one of the fastest ocean predators and can travel 100 meters in half the time of the Olympic athlete Usain Bolt. That's 20 meters a second, around 70 kilometers an hour. This lightning speed means when they strike, the fish are stunned by their deadly bills. The sailfish will attack the bait ball until the bitter end. It's early May, and the white-tip sharks are on the prowl during the day, when normally they'd be resting. But some of the females are releasing pheromones, and this causes a frenzy among the males. Males must chase their intended mate until one of them can take hold of her. The only way a shark can do this is with its teeth, an event rarely ever caught on camera. Mating is a brutal affair for sharks. One male wins the right to mate. He locks on to his suitor by biting hard into the neck of the female and keeps a firm grip throughout the mating ritual. This is a potentially dangerous time for the male. For as long as he's locked onto the female, he has no way to breathe and is deprived of oxygen. Mating may not be a tender affair, but the whitetips of Socorro are among the most resilient of sharks. Some of the females are already pregnant, almost ready to give birth to their litter of 2 to 3 pups. In some parts of the islands, small cave systems make an ideal home, not just for the white-tip sharks, but also a host of other creatures. Giant spiny lobsters are found wedged into rocks. With little or no pressure from man, the Socorro lobsters can reach nearly half a meter in length. There is one species which plays a crucial role in the health of the ecosystem: cleaner fish. This bright orange character is called a clarion angelfish and is found nowhere else in the world except Socorro. Yellow barberfish are also a vital part of the cleaning community. When it comes to servicing one of Socorro's most majestic animals, the clarion angels oblige with relentless enthusiasm. Giant Pacific manta rays have their favorite cleaning stations, where they deliberately seek out these small squadrons of clarion angels. The manta ray approaches the cleaning station head first, often turning its body into the current and slowing down so the angels can do their job. They quickly pick at any parasites on the skin of the manta ray. They'll even clean the large remoras that attach themselves to big animals. Pacific mantas can grow to more than 6 meters across, yet they live on tiny plankton which they sift through their gills. Clarion angels not only keep them clean of unwanted parasites, they remove trapped food and help keep wounds free from infection. Without this harmonious relationship between clarions and manta, these ocean giants with the largest brain of any fish in the sea might easily succumb to disease. Until recently, parasites were not the manta ray's greatest enemy. In 1994, commercial fishing vessels carried out what became known as the St. Valentine's Day massacre of sharks and rays at San Benedicto. Today, all commercial fishing around the islands is illegal, and the killing of manta rays carries a $10,000 fine. Mexican naval vessels patrolling the islands today are intended to act as a deterrent against illegal fishing. They have the powers to arrest anyone caught fishing for sharks or manta rays. This long-line fishing vessel is trying to evade the Navy. A dive boat, however, arrives on the scene to record shocking evidence of dead sharks on deck. The fishermen try to cover up their illegal haul, which will sell for thousands of dollars for shark fin soup. Shark finning is the scourge of the Eastern Pacific. The dive crew know they're fighting a difficult battle. They're fiercely protective of Socorro and have no hesitation in challenging boats they suspect are here for fishing. They gather whatever evidence they can on camera to pass on to the authorities.
I know you shouldn't be here fishing.
Sports fishing vessels usually get the message and beat a retreat. But here, the fishing industry, commercial or otherwise, leaves a terrible legacy. Many sharks are left with hooks lodged in their mouths. Others are trailing fishing lines. Many more will not have escaped. Man's impact on even the biggest of them has also left its scars. This whale shark has a commercial fishing rope for a noose, cutting into its giant body. A diver seizes the chance to cut the rope free and quickly descends to more than 100 feet. The monster shark calmly cooperates. It takes just 30 seconds to remove a rope that may have burdened this gentle giant for many years. For the dive team, it's a moment of pure joy. The zero-tolerance policy on fishing helps to maintain Socorro's dramatic undersea environment. The schools of tuna here are like blizzards. Other pelagic species, such as jacks, also gather in enormous shoals. According to scientists, these extraordinary concentrations of fish are record-breaking. They worked out what's called the biomass, the amount of fish in weight for a volume of reef. At Roca Partida, the figure of 72% biomass of fish is the highest ever recorded for any community reef anywhere in the world. This is why Socorro's undersea riches support such a wealth of top predators. Among them, large pods of bottlenose dolphins who've made these islands their home. When they're not hunting, the dolphins concentrate on their social lives. Some of their behavior is unique to these islands. The animals seem to have a fondness for remaining motionless in the water and falling vertically, an important part of their intense bonding rituals. Some 16 different species of whales and dolphins are found in the archipelago, including a close relative of the bottlenose. These are false killer whales, the third largest member of the dolphin family. They're altogether bigger and more powerful animals. They tend to hunt collaboratively, and though they've been known to kill smaller dolphins, their main target here are the enormous tuna seen in large numbers around Socorro. The bottlenose dolphins are excellent opportunists, and this one fancies its chances on a chase. But it turns out to be more like a practice run. Meanwhile, the sharks are waiting for dusk. The hammerheads know these rocks well, especially with their highly attuned and bizarre flat heads, which are packed with sensory organs. Younger silvertip sharks tend to remain nearer the reefs until they're mature enough to graduate to the deeper, open waters. The same goes for the Galapagos shark. Both of these species can grow to at least 3 meters. For the bottlenose, it's not so much second-time lucky as sneaky thief, stealing this fish straight from the mouth of another and beating one of the jacks into the bargain. Dolphin courtship and mating happens all year round. A gentle nudge is enough to persuade this female that he's good mating material. By remaining still, she is signaling that she is ready. Socorro's bottlenose dolphin population is doing well. Now, in the final week of May, there are strange goings-on at Roca Partida. A swirling vortex of bubbles stretches along the reef wall, trapping some of the fish, especially pufferfish, causing them to spin helplessly. As the puffers only have small fins, they have little or no strength to fight it and are simply sucked in. This unusual phenomenon could be a sign of seasonal changes to the two big ocean currents, which provide the driving force behind Socorro's extraordinary marine life. The colder California current is pushing nutrients up from deep water, while the equatorial current has a stronger, warming influence nearer the surface. The stage is set for the start of a sensational summer of sharks. They appear in their greatest numbers yet. The silky sharks just keep coming, making their way from the deeper waters at the edge of the continental shelf, arriving hundreds at a time. Great swarms of bonitos, a relative of the tuna, will be among their targets. Silkies are one of a few marine predators able to coordinate their assault on large schools of fish, herding them into position before they can strike. This is the time the sharks take over from the dolphins as the main aggressors among large schools of fish. Silvertips are one of the most aggressive species to join the party. Around these islands, they reach numbers rarely seen in any tropical ocean. The large schools are made up of mostly adults, which can also grow in excess of 3 meters. A powerful shark with a reputation for dominating other species. Galapagos sharks and scalloped hammerheads continue to swell the ranks to extraordinary levels. Giant schools of scalloped hammerheads, many hundreds of them, are normally comprised exclusively of female sharks. But on this occasion, males are also joining the ranks, most likely in search of a mate. Despite the terrible toll caused by illegal shark finning, hammerhead numbers at Socorro seem to be holding up since the establishment of marine park status. When a massive whale shark puts in an appearance, the most extraordinary thing happens. This Galapagos reef shark is in need of a scratch, perhaps to clear some parasites. What better than making use of your biggest relative as a kind of giant scrubbing surface? It's all part of the rarely seen behavior of this unrivaled junction for sharks. A place for the ocean's greatest predators to converge in a tiny corner of the world to clean, mate, breed, and feed on a truly awesome scale. Only now are scientists starting to understand Socorro's unique place in the ocean wilderness. As a key junction for migrating sharks, the archipelago is emerging as a critical factor in the protection of apex predators in the eastern Pacific. Scientific data from the acoustic beacons in the region has already established the use of undersea highways by hammerheads and other sharks. The evidence also shows strong links in the direction of Socorro. Now, with the onset of the hurricane season, the sharks prepare for seasonal journeys they have made for thousands of years. This is the ideal time for sharks to make the long journey from Socorro to Galapagos, where July is the start of the dry season and where they will find more favorable hunting conditions. By November, the seas are calm once again around Socorro. 2 centuries have passed since the early explorers witnessed what they believed were the frenzied actions of countless sharks. So it is perhaps fitting that more than 200 years on, and perhaps in the very same spot that Captain James Colnett and his men encountered the blue wilderness of broken rock, the shark's ancestors are just as ravenous. These days, we're able to witness such extremes below the surface. The massed ranks of silky sharks bombarding a bait ball of prey, joined by giant tuna with equally ferocious appetites. It is quite simply the greatest of ocean dramas. Who knows if in another 200 years the same will be true of Socorro, one of the most important shark junctions of the eastern Pacific Ocean.